What's up, everyone, and welcome to Shared Save the Game Media's weekly gaming discussion podcast. I'm your host, Kevin, and on today's episode, we're talking all about Fable, Kiln, Beast of Reincarnation, and the entire Xbox Developer Direct. We're also going to be talking about the turmoil over at Ubisoft. But before we get to that and more, I'm going to introduce my co-host for a little bit here. He's going to just say hello. Sam, how are you? How you doing?
I've been better, you know. Struggling a little bit with lost voice.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's coupled with just general cold. So I'm okay. I'm doing okay, but I've been a lot better. How about you, my friend?
It's funny because I've been basically sick in bed until yesterday, like evening. I don't know if it's like the flu or what, but like real like congestion, sore throat, body ache. Like, oh man, it sucked. Like my week has been pretty bad. I do have a lozenge, everyone. Sorry if you can hear that. I'm gonna do my best to finish it real quick to soothe my voice so I can get through the podcast. Uh, so we're both coming in a little under the weather here. Hope you can hang with us just for this episode. We did want to, we didn't want to have to cancel after just coming back. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Hope you can still have a good show with us despite our ailments. But I'm going to do a lot of talking and then throw it to Sam throughout the episode to give his, as much as he can before his voice goes out. But let's get through the housekeeping. This is Shared Save. We are live every Thursday right here at youtube.com/save the game media. If you can't catch us live, post every Sunday on your favorite audio platform of choice. While you're over there, please make sure to drop us that 5-star review. It does help us immensely. If you want to support us even further, get early audio access to this podcast and exclusive bonus content like our Patreon exclusive Shared Save and my Q&A episode that I will be doing maybe this weekend, if not this weekend, early next week, where I have lots of questions everyone has sent in for me to answer. I will tackle that and you'll get that as soon as I am done recording it. Head over to patreon.com/save the game media. Choose the tiers right for you, like our current supporters. So thank you to Sam Hall, Alpaca Tom, Rick Davis, Silkenit, Dave Harp, David Hotwright, Lillian, Marcus O'Neill, Brendan Myers, aka The Winter Gamer, Nikolai at Night, Fabulous Brianna, Brandon, Black Wyver, David Burdett, Dinglebaum, and Brian Eck, who did stick around after their trial. Thank you so much, Brian, for joining. Happy to see so many people come to the Patreon, writing in. Just love all the support. Thank you all so much. We could not do this without you. I see we have a few people hanging out with chat. Nissa is here, says tea and honey. Yes, I assume.
All I've been drinking.
Yeah. I assumed that was as an English person,
Of course.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that is out of the way, Sam, can you tell me what you've been playing?
We'll give it a go.
All right.
So
ASMR
primarily just Avatar still for the coverage. There's a lot more in this DLC than I thought there was going to be. I'll tell you that much. I was hoping to be done by now, but I am not, as is always the case. So working my way through that. And I think the only other thing of note that I've dove into just a little bit is a little to the left, which is the puzzle game that just got added to PlayStation Plus this month. So I've spent a couple of hours in that, and that is delightful.
I've heard good things. I've heard it's a relaxed, it's a cozy game. It's a cozy game, but
Pretty tough.
really,
Like surprisingly, I mean, you're just like sort of sorting things on a screen, but if you don't clock what the pattern is or where things are meant to slot, it's actually pretty difficult. I found a few things where I thought I figured things out, and then I realized I have to manually move everything out of the way again and start over because I put one thing in the wrong place and it's bugging everything up. So that's how it goes.
Nissa says it's also on Game Pass. If anyone is on the PlayStation side, you can check it out. Well, I've been playing a ton while I've been ill. In the little spurts where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit up for a little bit because it's not good to stay in bed 24 hours a day, right? So I finished Trails Beyond the Horizon. I did that last Friday before I got sick. My review is up on the channel. Please, if you haven't checked it out, please come over to YouTube, drop it a like, watch it a little bit. Even if you're not a Trails fan, I put the video out. It's not doing as well as my normal reviews do. I'm a little disappointed to see that because I did put a lot of effort into this one. So if you could just go send us some love, I would appreciate that. But they nailed the ending. That's all I'll say. Loved it. Can't wait for the next one.
Nice.
So after that, I was like, what should I play? And I know you and I talked about this game after the show last week. We were looking on Steam, wish list. I jumped into Big Hops.
Mm.
This is a cute 3D platformer cozy game where you're like a frog, and the whole premise is you can use your tongue to help you in your platforming. Like you can swing onto things, you can wall run, and I beat it. It took me approximately 8-ish hours, so it's
Okay.
a bit longer than I expected it to be honest. I was thinking, oh, this is gonna be like a 4-hour game, and then it just kept going and going. And I do think it overstays its welcome, maybe just a little bit towards the end there. Um, but overall, it's a competent 3 platformer is what I will say. I don't think this is one that were like last year when I played Paper Clay. I was raving about it, made my top 10 list. I was like, this is a 3D platformer for me that excels in every area I'm looking for, that like raises the bar for, especially for indie 3D platformers. This one I'd say is just fine. Like, feels a little janky, has that Unity kind of feel to it. I think the wall running is pretty bad actually. Like I never
Mm.
got a good grip of that. The tongue mechanics are cool, but they do get old after a little bit. It is funny sometimes. You're like, if you're going too fast and you use your tongue, you'll like just spin like a helicopter. And you're like, all right, I gotta time this and like launch myself. So it can have some fun interactions with the physics, but overall it's just a good, like, solid 3D platformer. I know it was on a 10% sale. I'd probably wait a little bit because, like, even with the 10%, it still came out to like 19 bucks. I think you could probably get it a little cheaper and feel good about your purchase here. But good game, nothing to write home about though.
Mm. I do look forward to getting to it eventually.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it, especially after you wait a little bit. Because I was like, I was playing, I was like, okay, I don't feel like I got my money's worth because I got 8 hours, but I could have waited. uh Other than that, I have been playing a few games. I bought Chain Together, which is a friend
Mm.
game to play with my group of friends. So, if anyone isn't familiar, this game blew up last year or the year before. It's an older game, but I'm in my friend slot bag in 2026 so far. All right. Um, so, Chain Together, you are a group of friends, 2 to 4 players, and you are trying to escape hell, but you are locked together. So you have to like move at the same time, and it's a platformer while you try to just ascend the heavens. All right, so you'll have to like walk on tiny little bones and chains and make ridiculous jumps and just try to get over these obstacles. And if you fall, you go all the way back down unless you can land on something, and then you start over, right? Like you just restart it. That we're practicing on the lower difficulties because there are difficulties make things harder, where you can just go to your highest point to try to get a feel for it. But those harder difficulties, like, you can spend 40 minutes ascending, make one mistake, and then you're right at the bottom again. So it can be funny, especially if one friend is not very good at platformers. So
Mm.
it was like $3. I I mean, for $3, I'm not gonna complain, right?
Can't pass it up.
Kyle telling me Kevin getting exposed. Let me tell you, that is just the falsest statement. All right.
Everyone calm down.
Yeah. I also jumped into Fire Emblem Path of Radiance on NSO. This got added to the GameCube emulator over there. I like Fire Emblem, mainly the newer ones that I've experienced, and I will say that I've played the first 4 chapters of this, and the gameplay is good. It's classic Fire Emblem, but I just
Mm.
don't really care about the characters. Like, there's nothing, like, I don't feel an urge to continue playing. I don't feel like so far every battle has just kind of been like, oh, there's pirates coming, we gotta kill them. Oh, there's bandits over here, we gotta kill them. Like, there's no big story driving me so far. And I hear that picks up in like 8 chapters or something, but that's like why we take so long to get into it. I don't know if I just miss the social elements, and that's kind of what draws me to Fire Emblem more so than just the tactical gameplay. But there is something missing for me right here. Maybe this is one I'll just chip away at throughout the year when I'm bored or something. But right now, it's not really like, man, I can't wait to go more play more Path of Radiance.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, because I was looking for, I'm like, I need a single player game to play. While Fire Emblem didn't do it for me, we got the Friend Slot games covered. All right, that's my multiplayer bag. In this time, I was like, I have Xbox credit I haven't spent still. I'm gonna get a month of Game Pass, which cost me like $1 after I spent my gift card, right? So I have
Mm-hmm.
Game Pass for the next month, and I have downloaded currently 2 games. The Outer Worlds 2,
Mm-hmm.
because after your glowing recommendation, I clearly have to play it. I wanted to play it anyway. It's one I've been meaning to get to because I did like the first one.
Yeah.
But the game I'm starting with is one they just added, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Mm.
And now I've always been more of a 3D Ninja Gaiden guy. I love Ninja Gaiden 4. I did jump into this. I am almost at the end of Act 3. And so far, I quite enjoy it. I will say it's way more difficult than I can handle. So I have put on some of the accessibility, like lower damage and stuff. I think Shinobi is still my preferred game. I think it like feels better to play. I think it's more fun with like the combos. I think the art style is more like what I prefer, but it's good. It's fun. It is more, platforming, getting your timing correct, and brutal difficulty though. So I'm having a good time. I'll wrap this up. I don't think it's that long of a game. So yeah, I'm just gonna be in Game Pass for the next, I don't know, few weeks until that runs out, and then we'll see what I can get done in there because there's that, and then the Outer Worlds 2 to keep me busy. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably what I will talk about next week. Sorry, I have to cough. And Sam can't talk. Uh, so why don't we jump into the news this week, everyone? Let us know in the chat what you've been playing to start 2026, because I'm really interested. And we're obviously going to start with the Xbox Developer Direct. Now, we gave our, I don't want to say prediction, well, kind of predictions, but like our hypothesis of how this would go last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
The show premiered today. Sam, before we get into each game specifically, I just want to know, what are your overall thoughts on the show? Like, how would you rate it? Did you walk away like pleasantly surprised, happy, disappointed?
Um, I'm happy to report this lozenge is already helping
Oh, that's great.
surprisingly well. So
Mhm.
we'll see how this goes. Um, I would say I was whelmed
Interesting.
overall. I would say outside of maybe the first developer direct that they ever did, this is probably like the second weakest. Now there's a lot of caveats to that, which we'll get into as we talk about each game. But I think it's just this one didn't feel quite as bombastic and dynamic and surprising, I should say, as at least the past 2 years have been for Dev Directs. I still think the presentation, how they structure everything, is excellent, but yeah, like 3/4 of the game shown didn't really hook me.
Mm.
So that's sort of where I'm a bit iffy. What about you?
I am probably a little more positive about it.
Hmm.
Not that I think it wasn't my favorite developer direct. I think last year's developer direct was just for games that appeal to me
Yep.
was way more, especially like Ninja Gaiden was there. It's just more of a Kevin focused direct. But
Expedition 33.
yeah, I went in knowing that ahead of time. Or like I knew, okay, I'm gonna sit through lots of Forza Horizon 6. That's not really for me. and then like, oh, if the surprise game is what we think it is, which it was, uh, we'll see how that shows. Beast of Reincarnation was an unknown property, and then obviously Fable was, I think, the one everyone was waiting for. Um, I personally feel like they did a pretty good job, even in the Forza section, of like, I don't feel like things overstay their welcome to that much. I felt like it did a good job showing off all the games and not really giving me information of like, okay, this could have been like in a blog post. This could have been more focused on a Forza solo direct, like, because they've done that in the past where it's too much. It's too much. I remember a Xbox showcase where we're like 15 minutes of Forza. I'm like, going to the bathroom, or like, we don't need to see all this. So
Mhm.
I was personally pleasantly, like, I walked away happy. That's what I will say. Um, but why don't we jump into the actual show? We'll go game by game, give our thoughts. So they started, and we'll start with Forza Horizon 6. We've obviously known it's releasing May 19th. The PlayStation 5 version is confirmed to be coming later this year. They did say so. A lot of speculation on when that would be coming. Uh, Blog posts after the fact have confirmed this is a $70 title. I know we talked last week. Is this going to be their first $80 title? Are they going to try to redo that? $70, unless you get the early access, then obviously it's going to be a bit more. I think that one's probably $100 if I had to guess. I haven't seen actual pricing on that, but I don't have much to say. I think it looks just as good as Forza Horizon 5 did, which obviously critically acclaimed. If you're into these racing open world style simulator games, this is going to be up your bag. And they tease some Gundam DLC at the end.
Yeah. I think it obviously showed very well. I don't think anybody doubted that it wouldn't. But still, like, goes without saying, the most excited I am about this game is the points it's going to get me on Fantasy Critic. I think that there's no denying how impressive the game looks, but it's just really not for me. So
Mm-hmm.
it looks like more Forza Horizon, which is obviously a great thing for people that care. It's just I don't, to be blunt. So very nice, very pretty, obviously, and I hope that it is a more successful venture than something like, I know, completely different genres, but just roll with me, of like Assassin's Creed Shadows, where people were asking
Oh,
Assassin's Creed to go to Japan for
Japan.
so
Yeah.
long, and it's like, okay, so you're doing it, so this has to be the one that absolutely slaps, and it didn't. Obviously, Horizon has a much better track record, so I don't expect it to disappoint. But it's like, if you're going to nail one, you want to make sure it's this one. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I have no doubt that this is going to be another 90 plus
Hmm.
rated game, unfortunately for our fantasy critic, but it's going, like, I don't know if it's hard because a lot of people were mad Forza Horizon 5 wasn't in the game of the year conversation.
Mm.
Do we see a repeat of that if this hits the heights that we all expect? I think probably just because of the genre it's in,
Yeah, yeah,
but I don't think anyone that's a Forza fan can be upset about what was shown today.
no, not at all.
Next up, we went over to Game Freak for Beast of Reincarnation. This is coming to Xbox, PC, PS5 in summer 2026. We got a deep dive. We actually learned what this game is. They described it as a action RPG with one woman and her dog. So you'll play as Emma, and their dog's name is Koo.
Cool.
Koo, yeah, yeah. Now, I've seen a lot of people say this is a katana slop. I've seen a lot of people say this is, the most generic thing they've seen. I personally walked away from this quite interested. I thought they were doing enough to differentiate itself in the genre. Like, the combat looked good. I think the enemies look unique. They kind of gave me Scarlet Nexus eyes, or plant like, and that's kind of a theme of the game. A lot of nature. Her hair is woven into like this wood that you can use like traverse and attack. It's something unique that I think stands apart. I don't know. I thought it looked really good. I'm here for it. I'm excited. Like, it's not a Souls game. I saw a lot of people saying that too. I'm like, can we stop calling everything with a sword and a parry a Souls game? But like, for me, it looked like a solid action RPG. I'm not like, oh my god, day one, like $70, $60, whatever it is. Much better frame rate showing, I will say, than when it was initially revealed. Looks like Game Freak is actually putting some budget towards this. I don't know, man. I'm excited for it. I am a little disappointed. Like, I don't know what people want these days, I guess, when I see this game getting crapped on and calling it generic, when I'm like, I thought it looked quite unique, like art style wise and everything else. So
Yeah, I would say I was more impressed and interested in this than I was when it was like first shown at the showcase last year, I think it was. Um, I'm still not like sold on it. Uh, I like that it is mixing a few things together. Um, like I've heard people saying that the combat is a bit of a mix of like Final Fantasy VII Remake,
yep.
and it's throwing in some of the like QTEs from even Claire Obscure in there. And I think that that's where there's some conversation going on of people, and to be fair, it could be the case, but that's not really how game development works.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think maybe a bit coincidental and even unfortunate that following on from Claire Obscure, they have to show what the gameplay is like, and the gameplay doesn't mimic Claire Obscure. So in the combat anyway with QTs, I like the world that they're building. I think, like you, that the sort of plant-based powers are pretty cool, especially seeing it in traversal. I wonder how that will go into exploration. I think that could be really interesting
Hmm.
because the sort of upward like launch that she does with the root reminded me a lot of Infamous 2. Okay, and anything that evokes Infamous 2 has my attention. Like you, I'm not really like fully on board. I don't even know that I will play this, but I'm certainly more on board than I have been thus far.
Yeah, what I think what is drawing me to it is kind of what you're talking about, where they have the elements of Near Automata and
Mm,
then
hmm.
Stellar Blade and the action RPG. Like, not, I don't want to say Ninja Gaiden, it wasn't that flashy, but like it reminds you of things in that genre, which are things that do appeal to me. So I'm here for it. I'm excited. I love that they're taking cues from Final Fantasy, like the remake trilogy for their combat, by the way, like letting you pause, use a spell, stuff like I love that combat system. So for me, those aren't negatives. Like, I don't care if games are derivative, if you'll say. But so, like, I don't know. I think people are a little too harsh on it.
Sure.
Again, coming Xbox, PC, PlayStation 5 in summer 2026. I could not find a price for that one, so they might not have announced it yet. They also said it wasn't open world. They said it's like more of a, they didn't say linear, but like a, I forget the phrasing they used, but it's not open world. It's more of a direct
Mm,
path or something.
okay.
Next up was the surprise game from the Xbox Developer Direct that
Surprise.
yes, not a surprise if you listened to our last episode where we basically were like, this is the game that's going to be shown. Uh, Double Fine shown up with Kiln, their 4v4 multiplayer pottery brawler game. This is coming to Xbox, PC, and PlayStation 5 in spring 2026. Um, Now, I have seen a lot of negativity around this game personally. And I'm here to tell you, give it a chance. I thought it looked cute. I thought it looked fun. I thought there was some promise here. But listen, I think what I said, I think I told Jam Pack Sam this. This looks like a game that I'll like, so it's probably gonna die real quick.
Mm,
Uh, it reminds me of something like Crash Team Rumble, Battleborn.
sure.
Like, the whole premise is your you sculpt your fighter before you make them, right, and they have unique mechanics, like if you increase the amount of water they can hold, your health goes down. If you can hold less water, your health goes up. So it's like a balancing act you have to do with your stats. And then you go into battle, you and your homies try to take out the other team, get to their base and pour water on their kiln and put their fire out, win the match. I think it sounds like a unique premise. I know we talked about it last week, where we're very much in the camp of, is this gonna flop? uh, but I'm gonna give it a chance. I signed up for the closed beta test. I'm hoping this game is like free to play. I know it's on Game Pass, but like free to play. We didn't hear anything about microtransactions, battle pass, like anything like that. So it could come out and be like a $20 game. So I don't know. I really want to know how this game is received, because the online negativity right now is kind of disappointing. When we ask for new things, and then when new things are given, we just crap all over them.
Yeah, man. I mean, like you said last episode, we were talking about this, what this game is, and we were proven right. And we were saying the other week that like that is a very cool premise. It's very unique. Could be really interesting. I think, rightly or wrongly, especially coming off of Keeper, I think I'm maybe slightly biased in how I'm choosing to frame my perspective, but I think I'm being relatively pragmatic, and sort of emotionless in my analysis. And I think I said to you last week, that I'm scared. I'm scared because, again, Double Fine games never meant to sell millions of copies, right? Or even drive tons of engagement. But,
Mm-hmm.
um, Keeper clearly didn't do much of anything. It was, reviewed relatively well, which is good, but didn't didn't do anything, which is fine, but also not fine. And I think that, yeah, like it looks cute. I agree with you. And I think that the premise has persisted from when it was in its early development phase back in 2017, 2018. But I just don't know, because I don't expect that after this, another Double Fine game is going to be ready to go. Because obviously, Tim Schafer is working on his own thing at Double Fine as well. But I don't expect that to be ready to go in the short term. I mean, this is what it's a 4v4, I think they said.
Yeah, 4v4
And
moderate party brawler.
yeah, I mean, like you said, I hope this thing is free to play, but then if it's free to play, that means it's going to have to be loaded with
Monetized.
microtransactions. And with that, people aren't going to be buying things in this game. Like, I'm just going to be blunt. Like, who is going to spend money on microtransactions in Kiln to buy decorations for your pot in a 4v4 brawler from Double Fine, when
Yeah.
other multiplayer games, big games, small first party and third party are on Game Pass? It's just not going to happen. And if you said like Kiln maybe being like a $15-20 thing, like maybe, but then if you compare, and I know it's an unfair comparison, I'm not comparing it, but I know that consumers will compare it to, oh, well, do I spend $20 on Kiln, or do I spend, 30 when our Arc Raiders is on a slight discount or something, and the rift in quality and likely content that those games entail? That is an unfair comparison, but I'm just thinking pragmatically about what chance this game has specifically to succeed and be sustainable on the market. Because if this game has a decent audience for like a couple of weeks and then fades out, which is what I expect will happen, optimistically speaking, that's not good enough.
Well,
Um,
so I not to interrupt you, but
no,
I think it depends on what they expect from Kiln. Um, because they didn't talk about battle passes, they didn't talk about roadmaps, they didn't talk about seasons. It seems to me like they're putting this game out almost like a party animals, like a gang beast, where they say, "Hey, come have fun with your friends, but we know that this game is going to live as long as it's going to live, and that's fine." And I don't know if Xbox is, I mean, Xbox is cool with that because they're letting them make the game, but is is that fine enough because it is a small project with you know, I
I know
would
what you
love,
mean.
yeah, I would love to know what Xbox and Double Fine's internal like metrics for success are with this game, because I see Nissa in the chat bringing up a lot of these points where, you know, it's on Game Pass, so it can have a built-in audience that way. Not to say that people will like it. I don't know about the free-to-play model. Like we said, I think that this is one that maybe you should have waited and launched on Switch,
Yeah,
to have a more, and she was bringing that up too, to have a more chance of success, at least for at least in monetarily. Like, this looks like a game where you're looking for a family friendly fun game to play, like you and your kids or their friends come over. Like, this is one that I think would succeed on Switch. So I would just love to know what they expect out of this game, because to me it does scream like a multiplayer game of old, that we made this, we're going to put it out, whatever happens happens, and then we're going to move on to our next project. Like, I don't think we're going to see season 6 of Kill, new pots coming in, you know what I'm saying?
sure. Yeah, I mean, like again, I guess I'm being the devil's advocate pessimist here, which I often like to be. But um, you know, I know that this isn't necessarily a blanket across every single studio, but in an era where there's the 30% profit margins and it's all about driving engagement and things, and you are chucking in bonuses like Fortnite Crew into Game Pass Ultimate, um, that's just going to incentivize people, families included, to continue playing the Robloxes and the Fortnites of the world. And they have the party animals already, and the Fall Guys, and the Gang Beasts, and Kiln again, a very cute concept. And to be clear, I'm very glad that Double Fine has gotten the chance to make it, and Xbox is allowing it to happen. But as I said to you previously, like I don't know that after this, assuming that Double Fine are allowed to stick around, which is what I would like to happen,
Don't even say it. Don't even bring that into
I
the world.
don't know that like these kind of experiments where this, I mean, this, because this, my point being, if this game doesn't have a player base, it stops being a game. If Keeper doesn't have a massive amount of people playing it, it doesn't matter because it's a single player experience. If Kiln does not get a player base, it is dead. And that
Hmm.
means that a significant portion of Double Fine have spent multiple years making a game that died within a week. It's like a Concord, right? God bless.
Yeah, rest
But
in peace.
it's that kind of thing where they poured all of this money in, and Kiln is certainly going to be like a lower cost project. I'm not comparing it
Oh
to
yeah,
a
yeah,
Concord in terms
yeah,
of
yeah.
price, but it's about investment and what you gain back. So if it doesn't really drive subscriptions and people are opting to play other games and people don't want to buy it because there's better alternatives on the market and there isn't the player base, then it just sort of comes and goes like a fart in the wind. I would love for it to be this massive smash hit and surprise everyone and even hook people like me, but I just don't see it happening. I have no doubt that it will be fun because most Double Fine games, Keeper excluded, are fun.
Keeper's
Um,
great.
to each their own. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is a wait and see. Like, I will hold off. I'll wait and see. I'll reserve judgment. But I just have a gut feeling that this isn't going to end very well for Double Fine.
Yeah, I have the same gut feeling. I'm putting my positive energy out there and
I love it. Love to see
hoping
it.
because I signed up for the closed beta. Like I'm gonna give it I signed up for the closed
Sure.
beta, right? Like I'm here for it. All right, and if if I get in and I can talk about it, I certainly will talk about it because I will. If I like it, I will champion the game and try to get people on it, right? Like that's what I did for Concord Battle World. Like I do that for the multiplayer game, Crash Team Rumble. I got a poster here. All right, thank you,
Yeah.
Jam Pack Sam. So we'll see where Kiln comes. Spring 2026. So I imagine the closed beta has to be relatively soon.
You would have thought so.
Like spring is technically a few months away. So like in the next 2 months, I imagine closed beta is, and then they'll have an open beta, I imagine. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. But after Kiln was the closer, the one people are waiting for, the maybe biggest game Xbox is releasing this year, depending on how Gears E Day shapes up, I guess. But Fable, we went back to Playground Games. This game has officially been confirmed to be coming to Xbox, PC, and day and date on PlayStation 5 in autumn 2026. That's fall for Americans. Fall 2026. We got a deep dive, and I will go into the systems. We'll talk about it more depth. But right off the bat, I want to say, Playground Games, you understood the assignment. I sat here last week and I said I'm worried that this is going to be a Witcher style game. I'm worried this is going to be a generic fantasy Western RPG. Instead, they said, Kevin, shut the F up. We know what made Fable Fable, and we've made it in 2026. We've made it a modern game. We're going to give you morality. We're going to give you the life sim elements. We're going to give you the combat, the magic. We're going to give you the character creation, choice and consequence. We got it all for you here. So don't worry. I walked away from this very, very excited. Like this is near the top of my most anticipated games this year now. Like it's skyrocketed after this presentation. So I do want to talk a little more in depth about it, but how did you feel after we finally saw Fable?
I mean, I said in the Discord that I was impressed, and I am. Um, but I don't think it was quite the home run that I think it needed to be.
Interesting.
Now, obviously, again, I think that in comparison to something like Kiln, where it's like a wait and see, I remain relatively confident in my wait and see on Fable because of everything that they showed.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you that like the things that we were saying, like, are they gonna fully, like really swing for the fences with the things that we care about that are Fable? And I think almost entirely they did do that, with maybe one glaring exception, but time will tell. Uh, I have I have some concerns and qualms with what they said and how it was shown, but
Okay.
I think that undeniably it was the best game of the Dev Direct, and if they do nail it, then I think obviously Forza Horizon is going to be the best selling of their games this year. But in terms of like a game of the year contender, I think this is most likely their best bet. So yeah, I mean, I say this in the least facetious way possible. It seems like it might be worth the wait, however long that
Mm-hmm.
wait was.
Yeah, I see people already trying to say, "Oh, it's getting delayed. Fall is too close to GTA," which fall could be September, which it does put it, maybe against Wolverine, depending on when that comes out. Like, but there's never a good time to release a game anymore, right? You're always going against some other thing. It's multi-platform. It's on Game Pass. Like, I think Fable, if it comes out, is critic. It hits the critic reception that from Playground, what they're capable of, what this seems to be indicating. I think it can stand on its own 2 feet and be a success because we have the character creator, which I think was a lot of people's concerns. They didn't want to play as the character that had been shown off in so many trailers. You get the you can make your character look however you want. You can put them in silly outfits, you can put them in armor. You can be a male, a female. You start as a kid, classic Fable setup. Something happens to your village. Go out, become a hero, travel the world. Now, the original Fable, obviously open zone. This is a complete seamless open world. They showed off some of the biomes. Shout out to the overgrown vegetable patch. I thought that one was quite beautiful looking. But I'm excited to just get in there, traverse it, because as soon as I saw them walking around as a kid in the town, I'm like, oh, they've nailed the art style. They've nailed, like, this is what I was looking for. Like, this is Fable brought forward into 2026. And I have to cough, so
Yeah, no, I concur. I think, even it sounds stupid to say, but the proportions of the child version of your character did scream Fable.
mhm.
Um,
Because it was
so
an adult model shrunk down.
basically,
Yeah.
which and like that's part of the whimsy and charm of Fable, right? So yeah, I mean, I didn't doubt even from the initial early trailers that they were going to nail the tone, but it's great that, like you say, they've nailed the visual design as well. So pleased about that for sure.
Yeah. And then we finally got uninterrupted combat, where it showed off the sword flurries, the magic casting, which the little wind spells, some lightning or whatever it was to kill the chicken. Showed off classic Fable enemies, like those little goblins. You weren't quite as impressed with the combat. I
Mm,
was like, this is Fable combat. Like, this is what I was hoping it
sure.
would look like. But you had a little different take of the Discord.
Yeah, I guess, and I am being like picky here, right? But I do still think that it looks a bit too floaty. I mean, like enemies were reacting to hits, but it sort of felt a bit disjointed. Almost as if there was like a delay of, the character swung their sword into an enemy and the enemy sort of didn't react for a second and then did. Um, and I don't know, it just sort of felt, I think as well, there's something about the way that the player character is moving when going between attack animations that doesn't quite sit right when I'm visually watching it. It could be a very different thing again when I have my hand on the sticks, right? But and again, like going back to old Fable, I know that combat was never a strong part of Fable. But I was hoping that maybe you saying concerned about it maybe being a bit too like Witcher coded. I actually thought that the combat seemed very Witcher coded, and I don't necessarily feel like that was the right direction for
Okay.
the combat. Where Geralt sort of is very sort of almost if he's like ice skating when he's sort of spinning and pirouetting around enemies and
Hmm.
slashing them and then casting a spell. And not saying that it's bad, just that I maybe would have liked something that felt a bit more visceral and sort of like heavy than what I'm
Gotcha.
currently seeing.
Yeah, floaty might be a good description of it, because the sword, and obviously it might depend on the weapons. We
Of
saw a lot of
course.
sword play. Fable known for having different types of weapons. You can not use weapons at all if you want. You can just do magic. So it really can be catered to your play style. I'm open to the combat they showed off though. Like, it didn't disappoint me. I think I'll have a fun time with it. The only and I'll talk about more about the positives, but the only disappointment I will say that I saw, and obviously they have months to address this, since it's not coming out to the fall, but a lot of the clips they showed were framey,
Yep.
like really framey, like 15 FPS. And obviously this is a compressed YouTube stream or whatever, but like, I would almost suspect that this game is being designed for 30 FPS on consoles, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, I'm gonna play it on PC, so that's not a concern for me. And I don't know what PS5 Pro will do, but like, I imagine Series X consoles, like at least in quality mode 30 FPS. I don't know if it'll have a performance mode at launch. A lot of Xbox games seem to do, but they have time to fix that. I'm not going to hold it against them in a presentation, right?
Yeah, and I think like even to give them maybe an out, um, maybe that the frame rate issues uh, lent into what I was seeing in terms of the combat, where if it was less framey, it would maybe flow a little bit better in terms of those more sort of action based things where there's lots of visual effects going on screen during combat. Maybe that is playing an element as well,
Hmm.
where there's like still maybe a little bit of the floatiness to the combat, but it's not helped by the fact that the presentation was framey in chunks. So yeah, I considering how technically polished Horizon games are when they come out, I don't doubt, or at least I would very
Yeah,
much
yeah.
hope that Playground are gonna be able to sort it out no problem. But yeah, I think that sort of again is maybe why I was impressed, but not like blown away. I was sort of like, it would almost there, almost flawless. I was like, it didn't present quite as well as it could have, even though it still presented well.
Yes, and I see Sincere's hanging out in the chat from last week. I know that they were talking to us about Fable. Love to know everybody in the chat's reaction to Fable as well, because I know last week we talked about I want to see the life sim elements, and they address that heavily here. So my concerns, like I said, have been squashed. They were like, you can buy a house, you can marry a person, you can have kids, you can have multiple wives, you can get divorced, you could buy all the houses and then charge people rent and kick them out and have a business. And I'm like, yes, this is what like those are key aspects to make Fable, right? Like I am so glad they addressed that. They addressed the morality system, which is like maybe I'm glad they addressed it. Like there's clearly good and bad choices. They gave a big one and like how it affects the world and how things will affect how people react to you, right? Like they'll think you're like a rich jerk or a saint, depending on what you do. They didn't quite show us like if it affects your character visually like it did in the old games. And I don't know if that's because it's not in there or they're saving that. I don't know if that is uh, the way they described morality was was really my only thing. Like clearly there's choices, but the fact that they tried to live in this gray area where certain townspeople will think it's good, certain people will think it's bad. And I'm like, okay, but I really do want there to be like, this is clearly a bad choice. And if you do it, you're a bad person. I want that to be reflected. I don't want, and like the bad people can think it's good. Like you used to be able to get in good with like the bad guys at Fable, right? Like I want that. So maybe that's more to show off if they do a future deep dive. I'm not passing judgment either way. That is really the only concern I had was they have morality. I'm glad, but I wanted them to go deeper into it.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to at least partially burst your bubble, but the accompanying Xbox Wire post about Fable um, did go into a bit more detail
Oh
about
no.
certain elements of the game, and I can't remember word for word, but they did confirm that morality won't visually affect your character, which
No.
again in the grand scheme
Yeah, yeah,
isn't
not
necessarily a massive thing,
not
but
the
it is
end
a
of the
bummer.
world. Yeah, yeah. Like I loved being like, oh, I'm growing horns and
Horns,
getting
yeah.
like cracked because I'm like a demon, you know?
Yeah, and to your point about sort of that moral ambiguity, I appreciate that that is, um, I guess, more realistic if they're going for like an immersive world, which is that's fine. I guess,
Hmm.
as a reboot, essentially, that's fine to maybe switch things up in that regard. But again, not the end of the world, but a bummer. And I would hope at least that even within this new system that they've established, that there is still um, that range for you to really push the boat out if you want to be a real evil character.
Hmm.
And you'll reach like a threshold where you do just become vilified by everyone. I really hope that there isn't like some people villagers who are like, yeah, well, you're super evil, but like, you know, you did complete that one side quest for me, so I get it's like, no,
I want to test the boundaries. Like
exactly.
if I slaughter people in town, are is everyone in town going to be like, oh my god, he's a murderer, or there going to be some people who are like, well, I didn't really like them, so like thanks.
Yeah,
Like that's what I'm looking forward to testing to see, because like it's not, again, it's not a negative, but it's going to be different. I'm glad
yeah,
there's morality, but it's clearly not the same type of morality. It's not me gathering up villagers with gifts and then sacrificing them at the dark altar in the middle of the swamp, you know?
yep, yep.
So, come out this fall. I'm excited. Like I said, jump to one of my most anticipated games. I can't wait to play it, and I think I'm gonna be buying this one. No Game Pass. I think I want this one just to own. But Nikolai at Night wrote in, just like you can, if you're a patron over at patreon.com/save the game media, says, do we have faith in the hero August? I assume you mean autumn 2026 release window for Fable.
I mean, I hope so, man. Um, because if they showed it off here and it gets delayed again, if it gets delayed, it's going to have to either come out in like December in the wake of Grand Theft Auto, which isn't going to be great, and it also means that it's not going to be really in contention for like Game of the Year awards and things like that, or it gets pushed into 2027, and I'm like, I that would literally mean it's been a decade basically, from this game's inception to it releasing, and that seems a bit preposterous. So I think that, you know, how early they delayed it last year,
Mm-hmm.
how far out they seemingly have delayed it. Because I would anticipate that when they delayed it last year, they were probably aiming for the same slot that they're aiming now. So I would hope in that time that they are going to figure that out. And also, I guess there is the additional benefit of they're going to be getting Horizon 6 out of the door and shipped, by mid-May. So then for at least the next few months, it's going to be all hands on deck at the studio to get the game, you know, gone gold and ready to go out the door. So I think it will hit. I think it's likely September or October, um, but God forbid if it's not.
I'm going to remain optimistic and believe that this fall we will be playing Fable. I think at this point another delay would be kind of a slap in the face,
Yep.
just for how long this game has been in development. I also think the game now that we've seen the least of is Gears E Day. Like, where does that slot in? Clearly not quarter one.
Nope.
Like, is that where's Halo going? So like there's two big games, not to mention like Clockwork's been thrown around as a game that might be this year, which I'm finding harder and harder to believe considering the roadmap they just gave us. Like we just got a fall, a spring, a summer, like where do these games slot in? So I'm gonna keep faith in Fable and think maybe Gears or Halo would be the one to slip, although I don't want either of them to slip either. So we'll remain optimistic.
Indeed.
All right, Sam. Well, let's go to our second topic of the show because we got some unfortunate news yesterday. Ubisoft seems to be in quite a bit of turmoil. Multiple media outlets, including Video Games Chronicles and Bloomberg, attended a media briefing regarding Ubisoft's quote organizational restructuring. As a result of this restructuring, 6 games, including the long in development Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake, have been canceled. 7 games additionally have been delayed, and 2 studios have been shut down. The new structure will see Ubisoft split into what they are calling 5 creative houses. Creative House 1, or Vantage Studios, is the subsidiary partially owned by Tencent and will be responsible for titles such as Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, and Far Cry. Creative House 2 will be dedicated to competitive and cooperative shooter experiences like The Division, Ghost Recon, and Splinter Cell. Creative House 3 will be responsible for, quote, select sharp live experiences like For Honor, Brawlhalla, and Skull and Bones. Creative House 4 will focus on fantasy worlds and narrative driven universes like Anno, Rayman, Prince of Persia, and Beyond Good and Evil. Creative House 5 is aimed at reclaiming Ubisoft's position in the casual and family friendly games market with games like Just Dance and Uno. So, uh, we're seeing quite a bit of changes going on at Ubisoft. We knew that something was coming when they had that partnership with Tencent. They started divvying up their IPs. We're seeing layoffs, studio closures. A game that went from hey, I think this might shadow drop this week to hey, it's canceled in the Sands of Time remake, a game that's been in development for 6 years at this point, right?
Hmm.
How are we feeling about Ubisoft's current structure, their future? Does it give you any confidence in Ubisoft going forward?
Uh, I mean, the answer is no, right? Um, I mean, I said in the Discord that they're cooked, and I feel like we keep saying that about Ubisoft, and I guess maybe the fact that they aren't like dead as a publisher yet maybe just proves that I don't know what I'm talking about. But it seems to me that Ubisoft continue to find new lows, new ways to disappoint me and just people in general. I just, I, but I think this one in particular just feels a little bit different. Like I'm not really sure how they recover from this optically. Like financially, I'm sure they can figure something out eventually, especially after their new deals and partnerships and whatnot. But I don't know, man. I think people lament the fact that it's just becoming about mega IP at all of these big publishers, less risk taking, and the centralization around core pillars, core IP. It's just it feels so cold and
Mhm.
capitalistic. And I think that it's a shame because Ubisoft, when they are weird and experimental, give us some really excellent stuff. Like obviously Rayman, and I'm gonna defend like Watch Dogs outside of Legion. Like Watch Dogs 1 and 2, I think as much as Watch Dogs 1, had a lot of clowning on it, rightfully so in many ways. I still think the concept is excellent, and I think Watch Dogs 2 is truly like a fantastic game. And we're just not going to see that stuff from them anymore. Like we're just not, and that's sad.
Yeah, Ubisoft is an interesting publisher at the moment. And full disclosure, we are part of the Ubisoft content creator program. All right, so they will occasionally give us games for review. Want everyone to know that, but I don't think that stops me from speaking the truth about Ubisoft. Where I think structurally, organizationally, they're kind of a mess, and this only reaffirms that to me. Where you have their new subsidiary where they threw all their valuable IP in case the company goes under, and they could say, "Oh well, Tencent owns that, right?" Like so, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, the stuff that makes them money is protected. But that's also kind of the IP that's been under scrutiny for a long while. The people that say you're not innovating, you're just giving us the template, the Far Cry template put into Avatar with it's a new skin. Assassin's Creed has been the same for ages and ages, right? Like they tried to say, okay, we'll do the RPG model, and then we'll give you this maybe Mirage esque one, right? But like people aren't happy.
Yeah. Um, and I'm amazed. I mean, fair play to Eves, like, the balls on the guy to continue sticking around. I mean, I get that it's his sort of love child. He wants to stick around with it, but it's in a similar way to like and I'm not doing this for the sake of it, like a Phil Spencer, or any of the Xbox leadership. It's you're a publisher, you keep trying things, things don't work, and you're almost in like a spiral where things just continue to get worse for the brand, for the optics at least, even if the money says slightly differently. And yeah, I mean, I don't know where they go from here, um, because it sort of feels like with things don't change unless there's accountability at the top. And Eves is like so dead set on not leaving and making sure that his family are involved in the running of the company, that I think he's sort of torching a lot of goodwill and reputation and future viability for short-term gain. And a lot of people, employees and gamers, are suffering because of it, because they're not getting to make and then subsequently release and let people enjoy the products that made them an excellent publisher in the first place historically. So um, I also just think that they're not good stewards of their IP, and they haven't been for some time. They just don't know what to do with like any of their
Yeah,
stuff.
I was gonna just bring that up because Prince of Persia: Sands of Time is I would say a beloved PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube game,
Yep.
and I think people were looking forward to it coming back, and now that's been ripped away from them. Um, they have put out Prince of Persia games recently. They've had Lost Crown, which critically
Chef's kiss.
did very well. I think it sold 500,000 units and then they shut the studio down or something. So Prince of Persia is lumped into Creative House 4 with things like Rayman, which has long been dormant, Anno, which continues to be a niche but successful IP for them, and then Beyond Good and Evil, which apparently Beyond Good and Evil 2 survived the cancellation round here. But like when you list it amongst those IPs, many of which are dormant in development hell, it doesn't give me much faith that you're actually going to do anything with the Prince of Persia IP, right? So I don't have much faith there. Their Creative House 3 is their live service ones, like Brawlhalla is successful, For Honor still going on, but like Skull and Bones, nobody cares, right? And then Splinter Cell, I think, is the big one for me, where you talk about not being good stewards of your IP. If there's a IP they've mismanaged more than Splinter Cell, I can't find it. And they're throwing that into the competitive and cooperative shooter experiences with Division and Ghost Recon. Like that seems like the Tom Clancy house, except they took Rainbow Six out for some reason. So I don't know what's going on there, but again, I don't have faith that the Splinter Cell remake sees the light of day, and that sucks.
Yeah. And you said about Prince of Persia and Rayman and all those other IP sort of being on ice, and it's like, how long has Splinter Cell been on ice? And there's obviously a lot of fan fervor for it and desire for it, but then there was desire for Sands of Time remake. I mean, I know opinion on it sort of soured because it was taking so long, was clearly in development hell and things like that. But I just don't see that Ubisoft aren't in a position right now, and haven't been for many years, where they can sort of afford to um, forget about risk mitigation and sort of throw things out on the line and just take a chance. It's the thing that people criticized Xbox for a lot, or even PlayStation, right? Until it's just like pursuing the big things, just safe bets. And yeah, you'll get a few outliers here. You'll get the Returnals of the world. You'll get the South of Midnights. You'll get the Keepers. But they're becoming the exception to the rule. Um, and sure, a lot of people like Assassin's Creed, but not as much as they did before.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
well,
then what else do you have? I mean, Far Cry, that's also where's Far Cry?
well, Far Cry 6 like came out and wasn't that well received. I think it sold well, but I don't think people liked it as much as the other ones. Black Wyver wrote in. He's
Mm.
their patron over on patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia. Says, with the absolute bomb that Ubisoft dropped earlier this week, what are your thoughts on the future for their near term? We've addressed that, but they also write, do you think we will get the Assassin's Creed remake? Of course, alluding to the Black Flag remake that was scheduled to come out this year. I've read conflicting things that it's been delayed to next year, that it wasn't delayed. They don't know if it's been delayed, but like it doesn't seem like it's part of the cancellations, but I also don't know where it currently stands. So like right now, if I had to bet, I don't think it's this year. I think it probably got pushed.
Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, it was similar to Sands of Time, really, where all the things we were hearing was suggesting it was pretty imminent. I think there is still a relatively reasonable world where it is this year, but just later on in the year. Um, but I guess it depends, on what these delays exactly entailed and how much of a quality check they are wanting to put on these things. But in terms of the question was just do we see it in general? Like, does it come out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I It definitely will come out, I think. I mean, I guess definitely is maybe a bit too strong of a word, but I feel relatively confident that it will come out because, one, they haven't shown it yet, and obviously they showed off Sands of Time, and that was poorly received with how
Yeah,
it
it looked
looked.
horrible.
So then they delayed it, and that led to the development hell. I may be speaking too soon. I don't know how much you could mess up a Black Flag remake or like a re it I guess it'll be a remake, but I'm thinking of it in my head as more of just like a remaster. Um, I mean, hell, if they screw that up somehow, then fair play. I mean, it's the same as like, well, there's no way that Halo Studios can screw up a Combat Evolved remake, right? I'm like, well, I wouldn't put it past them considering their track record. But like, if you aren't fundamentally changing the game, then theoretically you shouldn't have a problem. So I still believe that we'll see Black Flag, and I think it will be great. Like, I think that because with the amount of people that adore Black Flag still talk about Black Flag, it's the Bloodborne for Ubisoft, right? Where people are like, this is the Assassin's Creed game. It's the one that we love the most. Give us anything and we'll take it. And I think that Ubisoft know that that game will sell very well when they put it out. And if they haven't cancelled, which reportedly they haven't cancelled Beyond Good and Evil 2,
Crazy.
like comparative, I think Black Flag is minimal effort for potentially very big gain. So yes, we'll see it.
Well, I guess we'll see where Ubisoft goes from here. I don't think they have anything technically scheduled to come out this year, as far as I know. Maybe some DLCs, but like they've been pretty quiet as they undergo this transition with Tencent restructuring. So it might be a while before we hear big things from Ubisoft. I would expect 2027 and beyond to really be when they ramp back up.
Yeah.
But that will do it for our show today, guys. A shorter one than normal, which probably good because videos watchers will have been seeing me die on the screen for the last 10 minutes, and obviously Sam's voice needs to heal up. So we will be back next week, of course, right here live 7 p.m. Eastern time on youtube.com/savingmedia. But Sam, where can people find you until next time?
Resting in bed and recovering. That's where people
Mhm.
can find me. No, people can find me anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, Heaney.
And you can find me at the Muffin Man. It's a 1 to 7 I, O and 7A. Follow us to Save the Game Media over on Blue Sky or Save Game Media on Twitter to stay up to date with all of our latest content. Until next week, we will see you. Good.